Welcome back into Discern. I am Ross, and this week I am visiting with my good friend Kirby Anderson. Welcome back in, Kirby.
Good to be with you today.
So we this week are getting into digital currency, blockchain, some technical terms. Some people may be, I totally get it. I don't need a primer, but some people may, like me, really appreciate getting more explanation on what these things are and how they relate to society and why we should care, which is what we're trying to do on Discern every day, is look at what people are talking about, what's happening around us in the culture, what are things that we can invest in, what are options for, our resources. Well, cryptocurrency is one of those things. But on the last episode, we talked a bit about Bitcoin. You certainly want to understand something before you invest in it. No one should invest in something that they can't wrap their brain around fully. And so what should Christians know about blockchain?
Well, I think it's important to recognize that we as Christians, we should believe in honesty and integrity. And so anything that brings to your personal life, anything that brings to your business life, anything that really brings to your church honesty and integrity, there's one thing that's really a tremendous benefit of these blockchains. Tomorrow we'll talk about how you can own various tokens and those kinds of things. But we've always had a problem with honesty. We recognize that all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God, that the heart is deceitful, as it says in Jeremiah. And so there's a real need for us to have some way in which we can know that if we have a record, it's authentic. Now, back in the past, if you had a record that was given to someone, they would oftentimes, the king or other emissaries would have a ring and they would put some hot wax on it and they put the seal on there to show you that that was an official record. Well, that's good. But again, you recognize that we today go through a tremendous amount of work in order to make sure that some particular record is actually honest. If you've ever bought a house, you've probably seen a stack of papers about that tie that you have to actually sign. Matter of fact, now they don't even give you the stack. They give you a flash drive because there's so many things you have to sign. Well, blockchain provides the opportunity for a lot more honesty in the world. And people used to be more honest. I mean, I live in Texas and I have heard of still land that they didn't really have records for because one farmer would actually go to another farmer and say, I'm going to sell you this land. And a handshake was all that they had. But we don't live in that world today. And we don't know the people we are exchanging goods and services with. As we talked about yesterday, I can send Bitcoin to somebody I don't even know in another part of the world, and they can receive it instantaneously. I don't have to go through an intermediary or a bank or Visa or MasterCard or somebody to validate that. I can send that to them instantaneously. So with this decentralized system, it, I think, actually talks more about honesty and integrity, but doesn't have the government getting involved. Because if we believe that all have sinned, you know what? Bureaucrats could be sinful people too. They could be ambitious. They could be greedy. And so there is a sense in which as Christians, we can really endorse something that gives a tremendous amount of credibility to the financial transactions that take place and gives you a real certainty that if you send that money to that particular organization, whether it's a ministry, whether it's a church, whether it's a business, it actually is going to be there and it's actually going to be in a solid record. That's good news for us in the 21st century.
Yeah, it makes me wonder how many institutions, churches are going to start to accept these currencies. I'm sure some already have, and I'm just not aware. Are you aware of any?
Now, in our own ministry point of view, you can give through Bitcoin. The other day, my daughter was signing up for something, and I said, well, do you want to get paid in dollars or Bitcoin? I go, well, that's interesting. You're starting to see more athletes. Of course, you have certain countries, El Salvador, for example, Bitcoin is the legal tender there, and other Latin American countries are talking about this. I think it's the future because ultimately we're going to go to a digital form of money.
So if I'm in El Salvador and I want to spend Bitcoin, do I have to have my phone? Like, how do I make my purchase at the local shop?
And most of them have phones, but you, again, even if you go to a Bitcoin ATM, you can get a piece of paper printed out and it's got a QR code and you can use that as well. So you could actually use that, but most of the individuals have a phone and they have an app.
Well, thank you, Kirby. I understand the blockchain and cryptocurrency even better after today's conversation. Tomorrow, we're going to hit a different term, non-fungible token. What on earth is that? I've never heard that 2 years ago. And then in the last year, it's just exploded. So we're going to get into this concept of the NFT tomorrow. So we'll see everybody back here on the next episode of Discern.